name is Thandi Modise, Premier of the Northwest in South Africa. Yeah, I enjoyed my school. I actually thought I was going to be some medical doctor. I did well at school. But when things didn't turn out, when the system was changing, I chose to abandon school and go and fight. Later, when I was in jail, I took up my studies again and graduated. I am in London now because we wanted to meet up with leaders of business. We wanted to speak about the issues which trouble us in our province. But we also wanted to meet up with people who will be able to help us to deliver for our people. The Northwest Province is a mineral-rich province, so a lot of mining is happening there. But there are many challenges, so we came to talk to business about the challenges that we face so that we can see peaceful resolution of those problems. We also came around Europe to speak to companies which are dealing with alternative energy. We also have a challenge in the Northwest of conditions, dolomitic conditions, which means we are forced to look at alternative ways of building and creating spaces for our people. We have the advantage of being in the border areas. Therefore, the Northwest, we think, must be the gateway into the rest of SADC. So we're interested in talking to people, manufacturers, people who can use our province as the gateway into the rest of SADC. So we're talking to manufacturers, we're talking to possible investors into our province. I was asked to come and speak to women today. I loved volunteering into Umkhonto with Sizwe when I was young. I think that I started right at the bottom. For a young girl, a young African girl at that time, with all the challenges of apartheid, in particular of the impact of education, with all the social problems we experienced in the townships, that I must have really been thinking very good. I am proud that I participated there because that participation within the military structures of the ANC not only empowered us as the young girls and women who went in, it actually began to show that women in South Africa would be as good in later years as any other person in the politics and in the building of South Africa. And it is that background that I have that has enabled me to get into all the later positions. It enabled me to become a commissar, to become a commander. It enabled me to become an NEC member of the structure of women, the ANC Women's League. It enabled me to become a deputy president, an executive member of the ANC, and a deputy secretary general of the ANC. It is that decision which was taken as a young child which put me through these paces that later on I think enabled the ANC to send me to the position I hold today. There is always an interesting relationship between men and women in politics. You will find that sometimes men will acknowledge that women can also be leaders, and sometimes they think that women shouldn't be in politics, they should be elsewhere. So it's a relationship that is always alive with possibilities, either negative or positive. Women tend to respect other women. women also tend to be the biggest critics of other women. When you are leading as a woman, you need to create the balances. Not want to be given leadership positions simply because you're a woman, but be able to lead by example. Be able to challenge issues, whether they will sometimes affect men badly or women badly, but to begin to say societal issues must be addressed in a particular way. But of course, when you are a woman leader, you must also cultivate other women so that you are not a once upon a time, you come in and you leave and they are not. So we also have a responsibility as women leaders to nurture and to mentor other women so that at all times there is a balance in our societies. It would be utterly wrong in a country where women dominate in numbers, that women in leadership become thinner. As it is, I am worried that in my province, when you look at the heads of departments, I have very few women. So we're looking for women that we can actually incubate, push into these positions so that society and children who are born now begin to accept that people are people irrespective of their genders, that people are given the opportunities because they are capable and not because they simply happen to be male. I think I've been very fortunate. I survived Angola after surviving the bullets in 1976. I survived prison. I went on where other people had given up to become a parliamentarian, to become a leader of women, to be in my province where I now directly serve my people. So I have been luckier than most. I think it's also good to note that my generation, I have been fortunate enough to have seen the worst of South Africa and to be in a position to influence the best possible outcomes for my country. I think South African women have inherited from their foremothers and forefathers resilience. And I think that as South African women, that is a strength we carry. The ability to use our experiences and to influence positively for other women, irrespective of where they find themselves. The ability to have stood with men who command the world today and to speak on behalf of other women. If you look at the conditions of living in South Africa, they prepare you for hardships. The summer is very hot, the winter is very cold, the in-between is in between. The beliefs and the cultures of Africa make it very difficult for young girls to really prove themselves. And once you get out of being a girl and being into a woman, you really have made it. And that strength, the education sometimes within our cultures that prepare girls to become women, that is our strength. The fact that you've got many and diverse cultures in South Africa, and we have begun to learn and appreciate the different cultures, is a strength to us. The fact that we have survived all the odds in the different cultures and languages and have been able to own all these cultures as our own, as South African women, is a strength. And that is why, for me, speaking all the South African languages is a must, so that you are able to penetrate areas you couldn't penetrate. I like the saying in Afrikaans, they say, if you don't understand my culture, you will not understand me. And it is true. It is only when we understand each other and we can speak each other's languages that we can do. And that is why when we started going out, using our strengths, we talk a lot as South African women. We laugh a lot. We cry together. We've taken these as our strengths when we went out to the rest of Africa and said, look, we are different. We don't speak the same languages. We don't even look the same. But we are united because we have a piece of land that we all love. We are united because we want to ensure that all our children don't go through what we have gone. That is a strength. That is what we took to Rwanda and Burundi. That is what we are forcing other women to consider. Consider the future of the country and the children, and make sure that peace reigns. The fact that we were forced to take up arms as women is forcing us to say to other women, don't stay back. Get into those negotiating tables. Get into those decision-making bodies. Be part of those decisions, because if you don't do that, your children will not know peace. And even when you do so, you are not sure that you are guaranteed peace, but at least you've tried. So I think that our strength is always that we don't allow things to happen without us. We get in there. We're getting our hands dirty. Sometimes we make mistakes. And sometimes we surprise ourselves when we get things going. Our example of sending Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma to the AU, for me, is very excellent. We know who she is. We know how committed she is on issues of women and children. We know that all of us have been in areas of conflict. We know that with her at the helm of the African Union, there's no way African women will not have a weight. There's no way decisions will be taken without the feelings and the concerns of the women in the continent being heard. But she's also been a leader, and therefore, very few African leaders are going to pretend she has not been a leader, and they're not going to pretend not to hear her. So that is the strength that I think as South African women we have, and we have a responsibility to reproduce elsewhere in the world. The ANC Women's League is that fighter for women. Yes, it does now and then take up issues of children, but it definitely focuses in making sure that women are given what they deserve. So I'm very proud that in our time, and even now when I'm watching from wherever I am, that women are still there pushing for other women. Yeah, the statistics of rape are something you can't believe. Even within communities where the baby and the elderly were almost treated with godly respect, babies are getting raped. Old women between 94, there's one of 92, there's one of 94, get raped. So there is something which is going wrong within our society. So we are, of course, I'm calling for chemical castration. I'm calling for signatures to get the laws to be revised. The Northwest alone is coming up with 1 million signatures. We are launching the same project in the Eastern Cape. So we're taking a very serious stance against this. But also the Northwest is leading in its campaigns against corruption in government. We are not fearful. We are saying we will clean up. But we must clean up both in government and within civil society so that we can help create a better life for all our people. When you lead people and you yourself have not empowered yourself and created that capacity for yourself, that the possibility of not always finding the right space, the right methods, and the right leadership methods for them is great. So I think that our children in South Africa have a better chance today. That leaders of tomorrow must really educate themselves. They must lead from all fronts. We were lucky because we had the chance to learn whilst we were in jail, to learn whilst we were in negotiations, to be able to contribute to what we are contributing today. In today's world, a leader who has not taken the opportunity would find themselves very difficult, because everything is about capacity, education, vision, and leadership. And leadership cannot say today I have forgotten or I don't understand. People look up to leaders to give them that guidance and their assurance. And when you're a leader, you must also be well-rounded. You can't say, I understand this one, I don't understand that one. You can't say, wait, I'll come back next year. No. You must be able to reassure people. There is no position that says, I don't know. People expect expertise, expect reassurance, but the people also expect us to be honest, so that when there are areas we really don't understand, we can go and say, give me space to go and investigate this one and come back. So for me, education is everything. As a woman, I know education is fundamental. I think that we should not just push young South African children to study, we must push girls in Africa and in the world to be able to stand on their feet. I think that the inequalities, the poverty, we can only entrench democracy and equality if we begin to affirm girls and boys' education. A good leader is an honest person. It is somebody who respects the people who have given him or her the opportunity to lead. It is somebody who acknowledges when they are wrong and is not shy to come back to report to the people. A good leader is somebody who has some vision. A good leader is somebody who understands and is understood by his or her people. One of my old teachers used to say, a good leader is somebody who, even when they are far ahead of the people, will slow down and allow the people to walk with them. So a good leader does not lead from up front there. You're always with your people, you are next to them and behind them, in the flanks. So a good leader for me is somebody who thinks with, walks with, and does things for and with their people. My hero is Dorothy Nyembe. She served more than 15 years as a political prisoner. She, as a result of that, really never had a family life, married life. She had only one child who she could not even raise. But she never complained. She taught me to always say what I think. And she also said, if you are wrong, never be too ashamed to acknowledge that you are wrong and apologize. But if you are right and you are telling the truth, stick with the truth. It is always better to tell the people the truth than to cultivate false friends. So I admire that woman. She's late now. She died without a lot of people knowing just how much she meant and how much she had given to that country. She's the woman who was amongst those in KwaZulu-Natal who started the campaign against the beer halls which the regime at that point was building throughout the townships, because she said that beer was plentiful amongst the black townships and it really worked on the minds of black men. They concentrated on being violent in the street, in grandstanding, and they were not fighting the battles they needed to fight. So my hero is Dorothy Nyembe, always. My closing message to women is there are freedoms and freedoms in the world. Women must begin to enjoy all these freedoms. Women must begin to open up for all the possibilities. And women must begin to take charge of the running of this world. Time has come for us to begin as women to put ourselves first, our families, and the future generations into perspective. I think that the world will be a better place when women begin to self-select and not shy away. All those difficult areas which we leave to men and we then regret later, we must begin to get into those situations of finance of the world, the defense and securities of this world, the politics of the world. We've got to begin as women to say there are no roads that are closed. All the potentials are for us to enjoy. So women must begin to stand up and be counted throughout the world. South Africans in London can do a lot. One of the things that they can do for their country is to stay positive. It is to believe that their country means well, and therefore it is to give that positivity about their own spaces at home. But they can do a number of things. They can get into the skills base. They can bring back those skills. They can help create other situations where other South Africans can come in, get the skills and go back home. In particular, our nurses are mostly in London. We need nurses at home. We are not ashamed to say we would be very happy to see all our health workers coming back home. In the rural areas, we're beginning to build clinics and hospitals. So you need experienced South Africans to come back. We need our doctors home. We have a shortage of chartered accountants and so on. Those skills are here. We need artisans. Those skills are sitting in London. So we need to get them back there. We also think that you need to look at South Africans in diaspora as ambassadors. So you can't say because they are now in London, we no longer need to continue to service them. Our responsibility towards people in London are the same as the responsibilities towards people sitting at home. The only difference is that here, it's more of not an emotional tie. You can never separate yourself from your cousin simply because the cousin is in London and you are sitting in Johannesburg. You can never take away the citizenship of these people. And therefore, their action as ambassadors, goodwill ambassadors for their country is important. But if you don't service these people who are here, you actually will make them feel isolated. They might even begin to forget the feel at home. I came in today wearing these clothes and one of the young girls at least recognized that this dress belongs to the Tsonga people, and I was happy because sometimes our children who are born in countries far away from home don't even recognize their cultures, and it is important for Africans always to remember who they are.